Howdy everybody, welcome back to Sodor Schedule, and seeing that we did Thomas last time, well, what better way to continue the series than with the one that started it all, Edward. Yeah, Edward is the one who started it all, you know the whole story. If Wilbur hadn't made that one drawing of him back when his son was sick with the measles, there would be no Thomas and Friends. Thomas and Friends would not be a thing without Edward. We'll start off with his voice. Now, as you know, Edward's the wise one who's already lived his life and already been taught what he needs to know. So, in my opinion, the best voice for him would be Michael Angelis from Season 3. Because Michael really captures like a perfect accent for Edward, but yet still tries to keep that wise personality as someone who still wants to help. As for his character, well, I mostly portray him how he was in seasons 2 to 8, because while he does get a little stubborn when things don't go his way, he will eventually get over it and find a sneaky way to get back at those who try to do the wrong thing. Now, in case you're wondering, yes, Edward is meant to be a Fern SK2 in my headcanon. However, there's one problem with this. His cab design. Fern SK2s did not have cab designs like that. Their cabs looked more like this. Now, you're probably all wondering, how could this be? Why does Edward's cab look like that? Well, there's actually a very interesting backstory behind it. Edward was built the year 19,000, and he never really worked alongside his brothers and sisters once he was brought out of the works. Instead, he worked alongside another engine, whose identity I will not reveal yet, who had a similar cab design to the one that Edward has in the TV series and the book series. Unfortunately, this engine was bombed in World War I, and when Edward heard about it, he was absolutely in tears. Edward continued to feel down in the dumps until he and another furnace engine were bought by the island of Sodor in 1921. And after learning some history about the island of Sodor, Edward went to the steamworks and got himself repainted blue, as well as changing his cab design to remind himself that that engine's spirit would always be with him. Now we shall move on to Edward's schedule. As many of you know, Edward used to sleep at Tidmouth Sheds. However, in a shed for Edward, he decides he wants to move to Wellsworth with Philip. However, since he was now at Wellsworth, he could no longer take the local trains he took from Knapford to the docks. So instead, 2 more coaches were added to the express, and Edward starts his trains from Wellsworth right at the start of his branch line. Meaning that Rebecca had to come to Sodor because Gordon couldn't handle the 2 extra coaches. So really, if Edward had never left Tidmouth, Rebecca never would have come to Sodor. Okay, enough of that. Waking up in the morning, Edward heads over to the sidings and shunts his own coaches. He then waits for Gordon to arrive with the express, and once he stops and lets all the passengers off and get on Edward's train, Edward finally starts down his branch line after the guard blows his whistle. Of course, to get onto his branch line, Edward passes over a set of points and then comes around a corner. Another set of points makes the branch line 2 tracks, and Edward switches onto the left track. He passes the points leading to the CGI Iron Bridge, but I already discussed that in Thomas's episode, so we won't discuss that here. Anyway, Edward then passes the Vicarage Orchard where Trevor lives. And then Edward comes to a gentle stop at the animal park. He picks up passengers and then continues on his way again. After the animal park, Edward passes the scrapyard and then sings along with Reg's awful singing. Then a retaining wall appears out of nowhere and Edward passes the flour mill. And this flour mill is kind of a mix between Season 9 and Season 5. And then he passes Lower Sudbury. After picking up passengers at Lower Sudbury, Edward passes under a 1-track bridge. Now, I'm still deciding what I want this bridge to look like, so for now I'm just using the Anything Bridge since this bridge is literally everywhere on Sodor. Edward then passes over an iron bridge which crosses over the road, before eventually stopping at Upper Brendam. Yeah, definitely Upper Brendam. Now, looking back at my Eddie's Old Run music video, I realized I made a mistake and I accidentally put 2 tracks in front of the station when it's only supposed to have 1. I just wanted to clarify that. Anyway, continuing on. After collecting passengers, Edward continues on down the branch line. There are several curves and winds as it leads through the countryside, and then eventually he crosses over another iron bridge, which leads over a river. He passes through a few more curves and into a junction where the line becomes 3 tracks. Now, the reason why the line is 3 tracks is because Brendam Docks becomes so popular in the CGI series, so I thought it would only make sense to have 3 tracks. And not to mention, seeing that it's at the end of the island, I think it makes sense for there to be a large hill here. So that's why Edward is coming down the slope in this shot. Once he's on the quay, he pulls into Brendam Docks Station. Of course, this is Edward's last stop on his run, so he shunts his coaches round the other way, and then goes to help Salty and Porter with some light shunting. Once evening rolls around, Edward collects his train again and heads back up the branch line. He then heads to the Wellsworth sheds, tells Philip a little story to calm him down, and then closes his eyes, dreaming of happy days in the past. Well, that's it. Edward's entire schedule. Now, occasionally he does go all over the island to help his friends whenever he needs to, but apart from that, I covered pretty much everything. Now, this is the Blubba schedule. This isn't Edward's old schedule, because his old schedule was just him going all over the place, so I just wanted to clarify that. But anyway, there's nothing left to do but say my catchphrase. I have nothing else to say but goodbye, everyone.